What's up, guys? Jesse here from Matt Naps, and today we're going to be breaking down and talking about the UFC 263 card that just happened this past weekend, 4 days ago, sorry now. We'll start from the bottom, work our way up, talk about the entire card, just touch a little bit on some of the fights, other ones we'll talk about quite a bit. Starting with the prelims, I had Carlos Felipe versus Jake Collier, heavyweight fight. Pretty much the entire fight was stand-up. I'm not really sure what to say about this one, really. Collier, he is a former light heavyweight, moved to the heavyweight, and he decided he was going to go to the 265-pound limit, so he walks around at 265. He's a pretty big guy now. And honestly, even though it wasn't too bad of a performance, it was a split decision. It's just, I feel like I don't know, he's kind of in a rough spot. He's probably going to get cut soon, honestly, but, it's just weird when you see a guy move up to light heavyweight, or from light heavyweight to heavyweight, and then actually put on the full size and not really stay in shape. And I think you can kind of see the effects of that. But Felipe really didn't look too impressive in this win. I think that's his fourth or fifth win in a row, though. He just recently, his third win. Sorry, he lost to Sergey in his debut. So he's 11-1 right now. Felipe will be moving up the rankings, but nothing too impressive from either one of them. Another one we had, Ferres versus Luigi. Again, nothing too exciting. Decent fight, but, nothing really too exciting. Then moving on to the kind of crazy lightweight fight, Terrence McKinney versus Matt Frevola. McKinney goes out there, blasts him in 7 seconds, ends up tying the record for the lightweight, fastest knockout at lightweight, and then immediately goes to run on the cage, goes to jump up on the cage and blows his knee. So even though he had an amazing performance, he ends up getting carried out of the cage, but really impressive for Terrence McKinney. Expect to see big things from him, probably. He's, pretty young. His only losses, I think he has one in the Contender Series, and I think he has 2 more losses. I can't remember. Just really impressive performance by him. Moving on to the women's bantamweight division, we had one of the best fights of the night, honestly, in my opinion. The women always tend to bring it. And we had Pannie Kianzad versus Alexis Davis. Alexis being obviously a former title contender. I thought this was a great fight for Pannie. In my opinion, this solidifies her as one of the top 10 female bantamweights, not just currently, but of all time. She's got a really impressive record, and, because it's such a young division, I think she's, as of now, in that, if she wants to still be in that top 10, 20, 30 years from now, she's obviously got to get a title shot, not only a title shot, but a title win. As of right now, I think she's one of the best to ever do it in the 135-pound division for the women. I expect her to get a title shot soon. I'm not exactly sure what her record is right now. 15-5. She's lost once at featherweight. And most of the losses are early in her career to top girls. I could see her getting a title shot soon. She's pretty young too. I think she's only 28, 29. So, I expect her to get a title shot soon. Right now I rank her as one of the best to ever do it. Obviously, thin division, or not, I shouldn't say thin division, short-lived division, so, the history of it's not as long as, heavyweight or something where you need to have won a title in order to be one of those top people, but, impressive nonetheless. Then we had a couple of fights on the prelim card, just some decent decisions, Movzar Avalov won against Hakeem Davuda. Lauren Murphy beat Joanne Calderwood. Lauren Murphy, another very impressive. I expect her to possibly be the next woman at 125 pounds to get fed to Shevchenko. I really don't see her beating Shevchenko, but impressive nonetheless. Calderwood's if not really a top ranked girl, but one of the more famous girls in the division. So definitely a good win for Murphy. Then we had the Brad Riddle versus Drew Dober fight. Just an amazing scrap. Ended up winning fight of the night. Well-deserved. Riddle ended up getting the decision. Unanimous, 29-28 across the board. Really good performance by both guys. But, obviously with Riddle getting the win, that was highly impressive. And then, so moving on to the main event. First up, we had main card, sorry, not main event. First up, we had Paul Craig versus Jamal Hill. Craig looked insanely impressive. I see that they changed it to a technical submission. At first, they actually had it by technical knockout. I don't know why they changed this to technical submission, because I think they finished, like, the strikes were what finished it, wasn't it? Like, that's when ref finally called it off. So, but it is what it is. Either way, insane performance. Apparently, Jamal Hill's arm wasn't broken. Somehow, just dislocated. The worst dislocation I've ever seen. It was like dislocated right off the fucking joint. Like, Jesus Christ, it was disgusting. But yeah, obviously insanely impressive win for Paul Craig. I don't know where he moves from here. They have him as number 12 in the division now. So yeah, I expect him to, obviously fight someone of notoriety next. His only really big name win is against Shogun. He hit a draw versus Shogun and then ended up winning the second fight in submission to punches. Maybe give him another guy in that division who's a former champion, although I guess there's not really that many around anymore. Shogun's kind of the only guy still floating around. He's already beat him because DC's retired. Jones moved up. Jan's obviously current champion. Vitor's boxing. Fucking Rampages in Bellator. Machida got cut. So yeah, there's not really many guys left in the division. So I guess just give him a big name guy. See how he does against them. But, amazing jiu-jitsu, impressive for him. He ended up getting his black belt for that, so congratulations. Next up, we had at welterweight Bilal Muhammad, Damian Maia. Very boring fight, unfortunately, but pretty much exactly what you expected. If you want to beat Damian Maia, that's pretty much how you got to fight. Don't overcommit to punches. Just kind of tag him up a little bit and don't let him take you down. I was surprised by Maia, though, because Maia's got a couple other takedowns in his arsenal that we've seen in his other fights. Like his fight against Chael Sonnen was one of the most impressive finishes I've ever seen. He got Chael up against the fence, got a throw on him, and then got the mounted triangle. So, he does have other attacks when it comes to takedowns. I don't know if he was injured or maybe it's just, he's 44 years old now. Maybe he's just getting older and doesn't have the strength to do that stuff anymore. But, yeah, impressive win for Bilal Muhammad. Yeah, I guess he'll move up the rankings now. But I'm not really sure what Maia wants to fight Nate Diaz now, which, that'd be a interesting fight. I think Maia would definitely be able to take Diaz down, I think. I don't know how Diaz would deal with him on the ground. It'd be a good scrap. I don't think Diaz's jiu-jitsu is high enough level, but we'll see. I don't know if they'll even do that fight. But anyway, then we had in welterweight Leon Edwards versus Nate Diaz. So dominant performance by Leon Edwards, was winning pretty much the entire fight until the last minute of the last round. Then Diaz rocked him, and you've probably seen the memes by now. Diaz pointing at him instead of finishing him. Honestly, I don't know if Diaz would have been able to finish him, just because I think had Edwards got rocked, every time Diaz tried to get in close, I'd clinch up with him. And if Diaz had, been able to stop the clinch or maybe even just tried to strike with him more, I think he probably would have shot and maybe been able to take him down. But I don't know. Very impressive by both guys. Leon obviously probably going to get the next title shot after Colby Covington, so he'll fight the winner of Covington versus Usman too. Diaz always a fan favorite. Even after this fight, everyone was just talking about Diaz. So not sure what he'll do next. Maybe he'll fight Damian Maia. That would be an interesting fight. Maybe I could honestly see them doing him as the first 165-pound champion if they do decide. There's been a lot of talk lately of moving 170 to 175 and adding 165-pound division. If they gave Diaz some guy they know that there's like a 90% chance he could beat, that would be great. Just, getting that belt around Diaz. Maybe not in terms of like technically being the two best guys to fight at 165, but I think in terms of publicity, that'd be huge. And then obviously whoever Diaz passes the belt on to would instantly become a star. So then you just throw in the best guy after that, and you instantly make a star. Moving on to flyweight, we have Brandon Moreno versus Davidson Figueiredo, a rematch of a fight that happened, I believe, in December was the first one. It was November, December. First one was an amazing fight of the year contender, probably one fight of the year if it wasn't for Weili Zhang versus Joanna Jacek. honestly, I thought Moreno would win, but that was way more one-sided than I thought it would be. The last fight being a draw and Figueiredo obviously losing a point. I thought Moreno would come back and he'd win a close decision this time just because the younger guy tends to improve more. And with the last one being a draw, even with that point disparity, I thought, Moreno will come back and win this one by like a close split decision or a unanimous decision. But no, Moreno just went out there and absolutely put it on him. Figueiredo couldn't even get anything started. He threw a couple of kicks near the end of the first round, and he had a little bit of offense in the second round, but Moreno was just all over him, striking, grappling, everything. He just, took him out completely. It was a completely dominant one-sided affair. Obviously, Figueiredo wants the rematch. I don't know if they'll do the immediate rematch. I honestly think it's probably the best fight to make just because there's not really anyone else in 125-pound division. TJ Dillashaw is back, so maybe if he moves back down to 125, that could be interesting. Cody Garbrandt was talking about moving him down to 125. But in terms of big marquee names, there's not really anyone. Obviously, there's that Russian guy. I can't remember his name right now. Let me check that out. I always mess up the Russian guys' names. So, UFC.com/rankings. What is his name? Askar Askarov. So obviously he's the top contender right now, other than Figueiredo. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see nonetheless. Yeah, I expect Figueiredo versus Moreno 3, possibly. I don't know. That being said, yeah, I mean Demetrius is gone, 2-1. Henry's retired. Maybe he comes back, but I don't know if he'll come back to fight Moreno just because Henry's pretty proud of his Mexican heritage, and having a Mexican-born champion is very big for the Mexico. So I don't know if he'd come back to fight him. He's expressed more interest in fighting Volkanovski at 145, possibly becoming the first 3-division champion ever. So, yeah, I don't really know what's next for Moreno. So either Figueiredo or Askar. So we'll see. And then, yeah, Israel Adesanya versus Marvin Vettori. So very impressive win for Izzy. 50-45 across the board, just dominant all around. I think Vettori got 1 or 2 takedowns. He really wasn't able to do much. Israel just kind of stood on the outside and let him up. And I think it was very impressive for 2 reasons. One, Izzy being the older guy and still improving more since the last decision. The last time they fought was a split decision. That was a really close fight. This time was a very one-sided fight. And also after the Jan fight, Jan obviously being a black belt in judo, his background being judo, much higher level grappler than Vettori. But to some degree, everyone kind of thought he laid down the blueprint. You just take him down, and once you take him down, he can't really do much. But Vettori wasn't able to do that, and so Izzy showed not only that he had improved since the on fight and patched up at least some of those holes in his game, but that he had improved a lot since that Vettori fight too, and improved more than the younger guy, which is really rare. And yeah, I don't really know what's next for Izzy or Vettori. Vettori, they might get to fight Costa or somebody. Get him back in there for a top contender fight right away. As for Izzy, I don't really know what they do with him. I'm guessing the Robert Whittaker fight is next. That's probably the best fight to make. Really, there's not many other marquee names in the division. There are some up-and-coming contenders, but in terms of the big-name guys, Anderson is boxing. He's not in the UFC anymore. Chris Weidman is injured, and he hasn't won a fight in a while, even though, Chris kind of been in this unfortunate situation. He's been finished in, I think 3. I'm going to check this quick. He's lost, like, a good chunk of his last couple fights, and all of them he was winning until he got finished. Let's check this out here. So, yeah, the Luke Rockhold fight was a pretty close fight, and then he got knocked out. Yoel Romero and Gegard Mousasi, he was dominating both those fights and then got knocked out. Kelvin Gastelum, he won. Jacare and Reyes, he was winning both those fights and then got knocked out. Well, the Reyes one was actually a pretty short fight. Omar, he won, and then I guess you could say he was winning the Uriah Hall fight because he threw the one strike in the fight, and literally the one strike he threw, he got a TKO leg injury. So Weidman's in a really rough position because His record's 15-6, but out of all those fights, he was winning almost every one of them before he ended up getting finished. So in an alternate reality where he, the famous zig instead of zag quote, Weidman is 21-0 right now. So I still consider him game, very game in those divisions. He obviously needs to patch up some holes in his game that he doesn't get hit as much. But it's evident that if he's winning these fights and then keeps getting finished, that he still is able to compete at that high level. If only defensively he needs to improve a little bit. So maybe we'll see Weidman back in there eventually against Izzy, which I would love to see that fight if we can get it back to a position where Weidman's at his prime or near his prime. Rockhold is now moving back down to 185. He retired after he got his ass beat by Jan. I think after Jan won the title and then beat a couple guys, then he's like, okay, this Jan guy's actually pretty good. I think before that he was embarrassed that he lost to him, and that was why he retired. That's about it. Like, I guess he has Robert Whitaker fight. GSP's gone now. Bisping's gone now. So, yeah, basically he's got the Whitaker fight that's coming up. And, hopefully we can get maybe we'll get Weidman Rockhold too once Weidman's back, and then the winner can fight for the title. But, it's a very small chance to that too, because Weidman obviously not being on the best streak right now. But we'll see when we get there. Anyways, that's it for today. Like, comment, subscribe. Tomorrow we will post a video breaking down the first, about a third or so, of the UFC on ESPN KZ versus Iggy card. We'll break down most of the prelims. Friday we're going to break down the rest of the prelim card and the start of the main card. And then Saturday we'll break down the rest of the main card just before the event starts. So, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see those videos pop up in your feed. Thanks, and see you later.